everyone, and welcome to Season Ticket. I am your host, Dan Hooley, along with my partner, Scott Schroff. To start off episode 2, I feel like we're going to talk about something that at least most people saw, and you at least heard about it. It was Odell Beckham Jr.'s and Josh Norman's actions during the Carolina-New York football game yesterday. As if you haven't heard, during, I believe one of the first plays of the first drive, like very early in the game.
I believe it was the first play, actually.
No, I believe, because I watched the game, so it was
a
little later than that.
Okay.
Josh Norman threw Odell Beckham Jr. in a bear hug during the play. There was no flag called, and it kind of sparked this physical rivalry they got into throughout the game. They were going after each other. At one point, Odell Beckham ran off his route and physically pretty much attacked Josh Norman, and as a result, he's been reportedly suspended at least one game.
Yeah, that's what they're saying is likely at this point, that he will be suspended a game from the NFL.
And as a side note, Josh Norman has no apparent discipline against him. Now, I guess we can talk about that. What do you think? Because personally, I feel like while Odell Beckham went overboard, I don't say this just because I am a Giants fan. I'm saying this looking at it as neutral as possible. Mm-hmm. I can see why he would get mad, because he did have a frustrating...
Of course. Yeah.
He caught what should have been a very easy touchdown and probably cost the Giants the game. He had dropped a wide open ball, which would have been a sure touchdown. So I can imagine his frustration, and that thing with Norman just set him off. I think he acted way too much. He obviously went very overboard.
Three personal foul penalties.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but people painted it as if Odell Beckham just attacked Norman and just kept going after him for no reason.
Obviously, there was a lot of retaliation on the part of Norman and on the part of Odell, because both of them were equally as involved in it. Although Odell took it to the extreme, which I don't think Norman actually took it to, which is why I think Odell is facing a penalty and not Norman.
Mm. Well, speaking of which, the Giants, this is one of the many things that has gone wrong with them this season.
Yeah, another fourth quarter loss.
This is their sixth blown game in the fourth quarter. The Giants had been trailing by a large margin. This is one of the largest comebacks they said in a long time. I think for the season, they were down. I believe it was along the lines of 28-7.
Yeah, it got that bad.
They came all the way back. It was tied at 35, but the Giants allowed Carolina to get within field goal range and eventually won it off of a field goal and lost the game 38-35. Now,
they gave Cam Newton way too much time. There was a minute 30 left, and I believe Carolina had all their timeouts left. Way too much time.
Exactly. And it's just been really coming apart for them. They had lost 3 games in a row. They beat Miami on Monday last week, and they have lost again. They are effectively out of the playoffs. Any hopes of them making some sort of a run is dying.
Yeah, they're still mathematically in.
They couldn't, because, which is something I actually want to get into today, is how, I guess, screwed up the way the leagues have been so far this year. We're looking at the Giants and the Washington Redskins. In the NFC East, they're all tied at 7-9 records, which it all looks like they're going to end up at.
Well, they're 7-7 right now, but
the way it looks, a lot of teams are going to go 8-7, 9-7, or 7-9, and things of that nature. And these are teams that are tied for first place, tied for a division win, which would obviously give them a huge advantage in playoffs. Meanwhile, you have the New York Jets, who have reportedly and can go 11-5 this season
and still miss the playoffs. They can go 11-5 and still miss the playoff. That can go the same with the Chiefs as well, or the Broncos. If the Broncos end up 11-5, and there's a couple of certain different scenarios, I don't really need to get into it right now because it's probably not going to happen. But the Broncos could end up also 11-5 and not in the playoffs. I think it opens up a nice dialogue that something needs to be done about the playoff system. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but to have a team that's 11-5 not make the playoffs, and then have a team that's 7-9, possibly 7-9, make the playoffs, is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think that's not how it should go now.
many people have been talking about that. Some feel that there should be some sort of a reform with how the NFL playoffs are structured, and basically how you qualify for a playoff run. Well, what would you say to that?
Yeah, I would say I don't have a direct opinion on it because I like the way that division play works, because otherwise it's kind of just like a free-for-all, just anybody can go. So you don't really have any strong rivals. The only rivals are the people that are good at that time. Like, you can't, like, the Jets and the Patriots wouldn't be rivals if they were both, like, if they were both good every year and they both made it into the play. It doesn't matter. Like, they would be rivals once it gets into the playoffs, but then during the regular season, it wouldn't matter because they're going to make it in anyway. But, yeah, to have a team that's 11-5 not make the playoffs isn't right, and I think we all know that. So something needs to be done. Do we want it to be like basketball, where just the top 8 teams from each league make it in?
Now, there's been a lot of questioning about that because some people have said it may be difficult for the NFL to adopt a new playoff system simply because of the fact that as far as major sports go, they have the shortest season out of all the major sports because baseball is 162.
Of course.
Basketball and hockey have 82 games in a season.
That's due to injuries completely. That's the reason. It's a hard sport to play, and it goes on for the same amount of time. But you can't have 3 football games in 1 week for one team to play.
Which is understandable. But they're saying the school of thought is saying that this may be the best we're going to get as far as playoffs go with a 16-week season. And mind you, the season, as far as the past goes, the season has been extended. It used to I believe, 14
Yeah, it was 14 games up until... It was like 20 years ago, but it used to be 14 games. That's when Miami won when they went undefeated, it was only a 14-game season. So,
but, yeah, and saying that, you're saying that this is something that's already been changed. The length has been altered. Do you think that there can be some sort of a solution?
There can be a solution in that you could just have the top 6 teams make it. Like right now we have the division play or whatever, and then it makes it so a team like the Jets could end up an 11-5 team and not make the playoffs. But if you want to make it like basketball, yeah, go ahead and do that. But I like division play. I like to have rivals. I like that the Jets and Patriots are rivals. I like that the Cowboys and Giants are rivals. Do you want to lose the rivalry between the Lions and Bears? Do you want to lose the Packers-Vikings rivalry? You lose that with the seeding. And this is coming from a Jets fan who wants to make it in the playoffs this year badly, but might not because of divisions. But I believe divisions are a big deal, and rivalries are a big deal to me.
But I don't think you would necessarily lose rivalry because there is rivalry in other sports in which the playoff system is different.
Yeah,
and you can have playoff rivals. Like in hockey, I'm a Rangers fan, so teams like the Penguins, the Bruins, Montreal.
Well, yeah, but like I said,
teams we commonly play in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The rivalry would be different because it would be only the teams that you play in the playoffs. So, yeah, there would still be a rivalry in that. But it would only be the elite teams. There would never be a rivalry between, like, the Dolphins and Jets. Like, they're rivals, but they're not on the level of, like, Packers, Vikings. But the Jets and the Dolphins would never even come close to being rivals if one team was horrible and the other was better. That's just what it comes down to.
Well, I would say that a lot of rivalries have not been really the factor, especially this year, because there are several teams that have done absolutely terrible this season.
There are horrible teams this year in the NFL.
To start with, going back to the Giants, it's more than likely this is going to be Tom Coughlin's last year as head coach, as well as several of his coordinators, because the common thing is when a new coach will come in, he will bring his own coordinators. I can't necessarily say if they would keep McAdoo as defensive coordinator, being he's relatively new, and the offense seems to be working. But I think
there's no problem with the offense in the Giants. You have the worst defense in the league. I don't know. After last game, I don't think it got any better considering you gave up 38 points.
But the defense has been a serious issue.
Yeah, the Giants have
defense
right now.
Not just this year. This is not a new thing. The Giants traditionally have had a weaker defense. Even in years they had that were very good, the 2011 team did have a weaker defense.
A weaker, yes, but they were still.
A lot of their wins came off of their offense, which necessarily isn't taking away from them, but it's not a new thing.
Yeah. But I think I think if you're going to fire Tom Coughlin, like that's fine. They might need a new change of scenery. That's fine because of like he's been there a long time. He's won his rings. He did a good job. Nobody's knocking the guy. He's just not the right man for it now. And Eli's been fine. Eli and Odell are the only ones keeping this team afloat right now.
Yeah, that's a very I think a very honest statement and a very correct statement, being the fact that personally I think that the Giants would only have like 3 wins if it was not for Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
Because you see a lot of his plays had saved the Giants, even in points where it didn't matter anymore. Like I know during the Washington game, Odell Beckham made a terrific touchdown catch, but it didn't even make a difference at that point. But they're still able to deliver. It's really been Eli Manning keeping the offense together, and it's been the defense blowing it. They've had at least 4 games in which they've blown a fourth quarter lead, and twice during this season where they've blown a double-digit fourth quarter lead.
That's when it gets bad. Like when the Jets and Giants game specifically, the Giants are a cause for concern. Their team isn't good right now. They need to go out and get some good players on the team. And the way that the Jets, their defense last year, even though the Jets are known for having a good defense, the Jets' defense last year was not good. The secondary was not good. So what did the new GM do? He went out and he bought a new secondary. And considering there's a cap in the NFL, GMs can go out and pretty much spend up till that cap, unless they're for some other reason. So I think the Giants need to bring in a new GM, and that's the real problem, because why would he sport out a team this year with such little talent? Yes, he might have been relying on Victor Cruz to come back, because Victor Cruz should have came back.
You got to keep in mind, Victor Cruz did not have a good season last year.
Nor is he part of the defense.
I know he was injured, but he did not have a terrific season. He actually, for the most part, he hasn't had that much of an amazing career following his opening year in 2011. Which is sadly disappointing. I hate to say he was some sort of a flash in the pan, but
he's not. It's really injuries right now, and we'll see what's going on with him. I don't
know.
But
getting away from the Giants, there are other teams that have had very questionable seasons. Talking about the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles are a cause for concern, even more so than the Giants. They brought in Chip Kelly runs his system, right, and he brings in DeMarco Murray, probably the worst move he could have made. DeMarco Murray is a north-south runner. He likes to run the ball. He likes to run the ball when the quarterback is under center. He doesn't like to run the ball when the quarterback's in shotgun or pistol. And is the quarterback ever under center in Philly? No, they're not. So DeMarco Murray is obviously going to struggle in Philly, which if DeMarco Murray was in Dallas right now, I guarantee he'd almost have the same numbers as last year, because the Dallas line is just as good, if not better, with La'el Collins. And he'd just be a lot better runner if he was with a majority of teams, but he went to the Eagles for the money, and I don't blame him for going to the Eagles for money, because money's money, but he's not getting the playing time that he wants. He's not getting this, he's not getting that, and he made a bad choice. I would be surprised if DeMarco Murray was on the Eagles next year.
And not only DeMarco Murray, Chip Kelly, the head coach, and the general front office of the Philadelphia.
He pretty much is the front office.
Have made some very questionable decisions. I'm looking at Deshaun Jackson, the receiver, who is having a terrific year so far.
Yeah, in Washington. Kirk Cousins,
with Kirk, which I don't know whether
as long as Deshaun Jackson stays healthy, he's fast. He can put moves on people.
Yeah, now I don't know whether there was maybe it was some sort of a chemistry that developed between Cousins and Jackson, but Deshaun Jackson has had a heck of a year, and that is something I seriously am looking at. That is something the Eagles lost.
Yeah,
he's not the only player that the Eagles had lost.
Yeah, exactly. Their leading receiver, in last night's game, Jordan Matthews had a great game, but Jordan Matthews is not Odell Beckham. He's not Calvin Johnson. He's not Brandon Marshall. He's not this number 1 receiver you're going to go to every time. Jordan Matthews is a good receiver. He's a good receiver, but you can't rely on him in that system. And Sam Bradford, while he may have had a decent game last night, he isn't the same. He's not the same quarterback he was with the Rams. At Season Ticket NJ on Twitter. That's our Twitter name. Instagram, it's at Season Ticket Sports. So check that out. We post some cool pictures sometimes, or maybe we don't. I don't know. You're gonna have to follow us to find out. And our website is seasonticket.weebly.com. Pretty simple. We got our podcasts on there. We'll have our episodes on there. We'll have some cool other things that you can check out on there. And of course, check us out on Spreaker. Podcasts will be uploaded there as per usual. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, I think that wraps it for today.